How is it going? Yuri here. Welcome. Here we are. So today we're in the office. Yuri Elkaim here. Happy to join you. And it's a beautiful day here in Toronto. I would love to know where you are joining me from. So let me know in the comments where you're joining me in from. Are you in Canada, US, somewhere across the world? Let me know. And we got some Alberta action. Nikki's Nutrition. Welcome. And today we're going to be talking about 3 ways that stress makes you fat. So if you want to go kind of a little bit more in detail on this stuff, I actually have a new video and blog post on the blog at yurielkaim.com that you can check out to get some more in-depth information on this. But I figured, you know what? Why not do a live version of this information and answer your questions on this topic as we go through it together? So yeah, so once again, just type into the chat, into the comments, the bottom of the screen, where you are from, or you can also give me some hearts. I love the hearts. Just keep tapping the screen for the next 10 minutes if you like. It's so good. Before we start, I actually want to share something really cool with you. I don't know if you can see this. I have a little bit of a skin thing going on. And I was outdoors last night doing some work, preparing my week, getting it all started. And I think a little bug got me. So I had a little bit of a kind of inflamed red spot there. So here's a little trick for skin is if you have like kefir, like milk kefir, or even probiotics or like yogurt, is take a little bit of that and just put it on that area. And that's the good bacteria in there will really help kind of soothe that infection and help the skin come back to normal. So that's a really cool little trick if you have like any kind of skin issues or infections. I don't know about infections, maybe infections, but I'm not too sure. But if you got eczema, stuff like that, it can really help out. Okay, so anyways, 3 ways that stress makes you fat. Really important here. Yesterday I talked about the #1 way to beat stress, and I didn't really go into how stress makes you fat. So here I want to talk about how stress is making you fat. And this is really important because stress is ubiquitous, right? We're all experiencing it on a very regular basis. And our bodies are hardwired to respond to stress through the fight or flight response, right? Fight or flight basically means I'm gonna get ready to run away or I'm gonna get ready to fight. So your body mobilizes a bunch of different systems for you to be able to do that. So that might mean breaking down stored energy into blood sugar and a bunch of other things. Anyways, I'm not gonna bore you with the science. Okay, so anyways, here's how that type of response on a regular basis becomes a problem. Welcome from Central California. Awesome. Great to have you join me. Thank you. The issue is that stress response is great in kind of an acute, short-term, immediate fruit fly type of situation, right? If someone jumps out of a dark alleyway and you're scared, well, you want your body to be able to respond and get out of there quick, right? And guys, thank you so much for the hearts. Keep it up. I'm loving it. So with stress like that ongoing, it becomes a problem. And here's how it works. Okay, so first of all, the first thing we have to understand is that chronic stress increases cortisol. And cortisol is not good or bad. It's just the amount of it becomes the problem. So cortisol is our body's main stress hormone that is released when we experience chronic stress. So that fight or flight response, we typically experience an increase in adrenaline or epinephrine. And that's the same reason why caffeine makes you feel awake. Because caffeine does the same thing that stress does, is it jolts you, it wakes you up, and that's the adrenaline or the epinephrine that does that. And that's why I do not recommend you drink caffeine, because when you combine the stress of life with a morning coffee or several coffees throughout the day, it just adds further burden on your body and wears out your adrenal glands, which makes everything that much worse. So chronic stress, elevated cortisol, okay? So cortisol, the problem with cortisol from a fat perspective is that it tends to lead to an increased amount of abdominal fat. So there's a propensity for different hormones in the body to lead to storage of fat in different areas of the body. And cortisol specifically leads to an increase in abdominal fat or visceral fat. And again, I don't know why that is. Perhaps it's a protective mechanism, because if the body experiences stress, remember, your body is always thinking about, how do I protect myself? How do I survive? And if it comes down to it, that's why, for instance, when you're stressed out, your sex drive goes down. It's something known as the pregnenolone steal, where hormonally, your in the adrenal glands, the pathway to produce sex hormones basically is shut off, because the more, I guess the number one priority in this case is to produce stress hormones, cortisol and epinephrine. And that's why when we're stressed out chronically, sex drive goes down. And that's not a good thing, right? Because that also means testosterone goes down, which is just not good. If you want to feel good, you need to have a good amount of testosterone. So cortisol, that's the big one, okay? Number one, kind of an increasing amount of cortisol over time can lead to increased belly fat. And that is also very troublesome, because losing belly fat, as you may have experienced, is tough. Here's the thing, doesn't matter if you're a man or woman, the tendency, if you're losing weight, is to lose weight in your face and neck. That's why you'll often see people, or people will ask you, wow, like, what have you done? Like, they'll notice that you've, like, you know, lost weight in your face and your neck. And that's usually the first place everybody will lose weight. And then as you go down the body, it becomes more stubborn and more stubborn and more stubborn. So even if you lose weight, the last place your body, so the first place your body's going to store weight is usually around the hips, thighs, and abdomen. And the last place your body's going to lose that weight is hips, thighs, and abdomen. So it's, you know, obviously it's not great, but that's just the way it is. So again, just think about from your body's perspective. In a stressed out, chronically stressed out state, it is thinking to itself, how do I protect myself? How do I protect my most vital organs? Reproductive organs, digestive organs, heart, all that stuff, right? It needs to be covered with fat according to the body, from a protective mechanism, but also from a fuel perspective. Because if you were to starve yourself for a prolonged period of time, your body would tend to, you know, tap into those fat stores. Okay, so that's the first one. Second reason that stress makes you fat is that it hinders your sleep. Now, I talk about all of these concepts pretty extensively in my upcoming book, The All-Day Fat Burning Diet. If you want to pre-order a copy, it releases in December. If you want to pre-order a copy, you can do so along with a number of amazing bonuses that you get for free. If you go to the blog, yurielkaim.com / actually, just go to the blog, and then there's a link at the top that says books. Click on that, and you'll see what we're giving away at the book. Anyways, that'll give you the basically like my proven plan for losing weight up to 5 pounds a week, resetting your metabolism, and really important information in there. So if you're tired of dieting, and want to lose those last 10 pounds, or need to start losing weight if you're kind of just starting out, or you've been off your game for a while, then this book is really going to make a difference for you. Awesome. I've already pre-ordered it. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Again, that's why I do this stuff, because I want to serve you guys, and I appreciate all the support. So thank you so much. Can I be cheeky and ask you, what is your sun sign? What is my sun sign? I don't know. So I'm in Aries, astrologically, but I don't know what that means. So there's a difference between the sun and the moon sign, right? I find this stuff fascinating. So any kind of insight you can give me would be amazing, because I'm not too sure about what my sun sign would be. But as I wait for your response, I will just kind of touch on the sleep thing. So if you're not sleeping well, right? Obviously, if you're worrying about stuff, you're thinking about stuff, you're anxious, you're not going to be able to sleep well. And the problem there is that when you don't sleep well, sleep is it's a very, very important foundation for health, right? For everything from learning to regeneration to repair, growth, all that stuff. But when it comes to fat loss, the importance of sleep is that sleep really, it has a very profound influence on our hormones, and specifically like our thyroid hormone and our hunger hormones, leptin and ghrelin. So when you don't sleep a lot, or when you don't sleep adequate amounts of hours per night, and we should be aiming for 7 to 9, that's kind of the sweet spot. Everyone's a little bit different, but 7 to 9 seems to be the spot. If you're sleeping 6 or less, you have an increased risk of not only becoming overweight, but becoming obese. So that's, not great. So Val, you seem to have more energy in the evening. Cool, that's awesome. Yes. So leptin is a hormone that tells your brain I'm full. The ghrelin tells your brain I'm hungry. When you don't sleep enough, your levels of ghrelin increase and your leptin levels go down. So what basically what that means is that if you don't sleep properly for a prolonged period of time, then your hormones are essentially telling your brain, I'm hungry, I'm hungry, I'm hungry, more than I'm full. And as you can tell, that's going to become a problem, right? In terms of like gaining weight. So that's a big one. And number three, the third way that stress makes you fat is that it causes you to eat too much food, right? Because as I just mentioned, ghrelin and leptin are kind of out of kilt. And with respect to food choices, again, if you're stressed out, okay, let me ask you a question. When you are stressed out, what is your food of choice? I'm going to let you guys chime into the comments here, and then I'll finish this little component on our food choices with respect to stress. So when you're stressed out, what is it that you eat? So we have Val saying sweets. What else? I need to hear at least 3 comments here. Otherwise, I'm not going to answer this. I'm not even going to finish this. So we got sweets, pizza, chocolate. Awesome. Anything else? And I can relate to all of those as well. We got chocolate. So why is it that we tend to gravitate towards these types of foods when we're stressed out? Well, peanut butter, just by the spoonful, right? Like not even on toast, just like right out of the jar. So why is it that we gravitate towards these types of foods when we are stressed out? Well, a lot of it has to do, and ice cream for sure, a lot of it has to do with neurotransmitters, okay? So there's a couple things happening. There's at a physiological level, right? When you're stressed out, what's happening? Blood sugar is going to go up, right? And then you might go on this blood sugar roller coaster because insulin's secreted to take sugar out of the blood and store it. But then you have a drop in blood sugar, so you crave sweets, right? Sugar, carbohydrates to bring that blood sugar back up. But there's also this neurotransmitter thing going on. There's a number of neurotransmitters that I talk about in the book. I try to keep it very simple for you to understand. And the whole idea is that your brain wants to feel calm. And when you are agitated and jittery, that's not a really good feeling. So your brain seeks out ways, and that can be drugs as well in some cases, right? So your brain seeks out ways to calm itself down. And one of the most profound calming foods are carbohydrates. And this is why, actually, if you're on my email list, you're going to get a couple emails from me this week talking about some really controversial carbohydrate advice, because for years you've been told, do not eat carbs. They will make you fat. And I'm here to tell you that that is completely false unless you are eating the right type of carbs at the right times of day. So typically we've been told have carbs in the morning, breakfast, oatmeal, pancakes, all that stuff in the morning. Well, what I'm going to tell you is actually flip it. Have more of your carbs at night. Not only does it help you burn fat more effectively, but it also helps you sleep better. And one of the reasons it does is because you guys have probably heard of tryptophan, right? Tryptophan, like turkey dinner, turkey makes you sleepy because of tryptophan. Have you guys heard that before? Well, the reality is that that's false. Okay, there's actually more tryptophan in chicken than there is in turkey. So why does turkey make you sleepy? Well, maybe think about the food as the meal that you're eating. Turkey, mashed potatoes, gravy, buns, all sorts of other stuff. That's a huge amount of food for your body to digest. And anything that's going to wear down your digestion is going to make you feel pretty tired. So carbohydrates, though, here's something cool, is that because they increase your blood sugar a little bit, insulin is secreted to take that blood sugar and move it out of the blood. But when it does that, it also allows a lot of amino acids to come into your muscles. And that's why eating your biggest meal after your workout is really, really important, because it's a window of opportunity for your muscles to get in a ton of amazing nutrients. And that's because of insulin's role to kind of allow all those nutrients to come into your muscles and your different cells. But here's the thing, is that as those amino acids come into your cells, there's actually higher amounts of tryptophan in the blood. And then that crosses the blood-brain barrier, goes in, turns into serotonin, serotonin turns into melatonin, and then you feel sleepy. So that's the power of carbohydrates at night. And if you've heard that they're going to make you fat if you eat them at night, it's completely false. The reality is that assuming total calories are equal, it doesn't matter if you have, it doesn't matter if you have carbohydrates at 10 o'clock at night and you go to bed at 10:30. I mean, I wouldn't recommend it, but if total calories are the same, you are not going to gain weight. It doesn't matter when you have those carbs, but from a hormonal perspective and from a sleep perspective, it's better to have them, and a fat loss perspective, it's better to have them at night. And I know that's controversial advice, but it's the truth. And the thing is, you'll find science to show either side. There'll be diet books galore and scientific papers galore showing eating a carbohydrate-rich breakfast is the way to go. And then you'll find the complete opposite is true as well. So it's very confusing, and I'm not going to bore you with all the nonsense, but that's just the way it is, right? You can find research to support anything you want. So there we go. So 3 ways stress makes you fat: increased cortisol, right? Leads to belly fat storage. Number 2 is decreases your sleep, and impaired sleep leads to hormonal issues. And then obviously eating too much of the wrong things, carbohydrates and sweets, mainly because we want to kind of calm our brain and keep our blood sugar levels stable. So those are 3 ways that stress makes you fat. Boom. All right. Now, let me open it up to you guys. Do you have a question related to this or anything else that I can answer for you while I'm here? And once again, guys, thank you so much for the hearts. If you're enjoying this, let's get some double digits. And just like, bam, like jab, 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 jab on the iPhone screen there with the hearts. We got some purple heart action today. This is awesome. I don't think I've seen this many purple hearts before. We've had a couple, but there's been a lot of greens and blues and yellows, but this is rapid fire. So awesome. Thank you guys. Okay. Well, let me, as I'm waiting here, let me give you a little tour of my office. So there is a window and my little standing desk. It's kind of like a standing bar that we had created, so I can stand up there and do more of my work. Okay, do you see any benefit from consuming DE Earth? I'm not too sure what that is. Oh my God, I just missed those questions. What can you use to sleep besides melatonin? Meditation. Honestly, meditation and just getting stuff out of your brain is like writing stuff in a journal is going to be very helpful. Having carbohydrates at night is also going to be very helpful for you, as I just mentioned. What do you eat? What do you have to eat before bed? I don't think you have to eat anything before bed, but like I would just say have dinner and then just, shut her down. So if your dinner, and it's not to say that you can't have like steak and salad, because that's totally fine. But what I would suggest to you is try to keep a journal and try to keep track of, okay, I had this for dinner and I slept like this. And then I had this for dinner and I slept like this. So you're not going to notice a trend over a couple days, but if you can keep a journal and just notes what you have for dinner and note how you sleep on a consistent basis and start to look for patterns, that could be really helpful. Chamomile tea might help as well. Yeah, so anything that's going to be relaxing, so chamomile is great. Here's the thing though, it's really, okay, I'll get to that in a second. So what are the best carbs for youth soccer players? Should they eat their main carbs at night as well? Great question. So as a former pro soccer player, I can tell you my diet consisted of bread, cereals, and pastas. That's all I ate. I rarely had any vegetables or fruit. And obviously I lost my hair as a result. So I wouldn't recommend doing that. Plus, it doesn't really make you feel good. So best carbs, doesn't matter if you're a youth soccer player or playing in your 30s, it's the same. The key is going to be looking for good carbs, right? So a lot of the starchy carbs, so like yams, sweet potatoes, beets, carrots, those are great kind of like dense type of carbohydrates. They would be synonymous to having a pasta. But you can still have pasta, just make sure that it's gluten-free, right? You want to definitely be on the rice pasta and the brown rice pasta, the quinoa pastas, there's like lentil pastas. There's so many amazing pastas that are free of gluten, and that's important because as a soccer player, as an athlete, you want to reduce inflammation in your body because sports activity creates a lot of inflammation. So if you add in foods that just worsen that, you're going to feel terrible. So just, plenty of just anything that's going to be a vegetable, you can have any fruits, tremendous. And then really try to stay away from the breads and cereals and pastas. And if you are going to have those, make sure that they're gluten-free because you'll do a lot better. I don't know if you know of Novak Djokovic, who's #1 tennis player in the world the last 4 years pretty much. His big transition in his game, one of the big things he did was he went gluten-free. And before that, he had a lot of breathing issues. You could see him in the US Open in hot tournaments where he was really laboring. He was struggling to breathe. And a lot of that had to do with what was happening inside of his body as a result of his diet. So changing things around can make a huge shift for you. If I had known this stuff when I was playing soccer, maybe I'd still be playing today. I don't know, but probably not. So yeah, thank you for the question. Hope that helps you out. Okay, there's another question. And again, this is I don't know what it is about this Periscope. These things kind of just disappear after 5 seconds. Okay, so so Val's asking, what do you do when you go to someone else's house for dinner and they offer all the foods you gave up? It depends. I mean, it depends how rigid you want to be about stuff. If you can let them know ahead of time, that depends on how close you are with these individuals, right? If it's a close friend and you say, listen, I don't eat this shit anymore. Sorry, part of my language. I don't eat this crap anymore. Then hopefully they can accommodate that, right? If it's family, if I go to my mom's for dinner, then don't have a baguette on the table, right? Like she should know that. I mean, she kind of, she knows what I do. So I would just say be very open and just very transparent with your family to say, guys, listen, like I'm really trying to stay on this healthy eating bandwagon. I'd really appreciate if you could accommodate that. And it doesn't have to be, it doesn't mean that the food has to be terrible, right? Like maybe you can introduce some recipes to them that they'll fall in love with. Be like, hey, why don't we make it a potluck? I'll bring over some stuff and we can check it out. Or maybe send them some of our recipes ahead of time and they can try to make those. And then they'll be like, wow, this is really good. So that's what I'd recommend. Or you just say, listen, it's not the end of the world for me if I have the occasional meal out or at someone else's house that's not, gluten-free or dairy-free or whatever, and just kind of live with that. I mean, either way, do not feel guilty, because the guilt and the shame is really where the detriment is. And I think it's probably worse than the food itself. So just, enjoy it either way. What is your go-to green smoothie today? Here's what I'm drinking right now. So this right here is, thank you so much, Val. I appreciate the purple hearts. And you're always on these scope sessions. It's awesome. Thank you so much for being here. So this right here is Water and Oceans Alive, which is marine phytoplankton. So this is basically like the base of the food chain. So marine phytoplankton, I don't know why I'm holding this. Like this just came off, I don't know what it is. Anyways, it's the base of the food chain. And if you look in the sea, like in the oceans like fish eat fish. At the bottom of all that is marine phytoplankton. So that's kind of where everything starts. So we have a friend of ours, Activation Products, that produce this awesome marine phytoplankton. I'm not too sure what that is. There's a beeping sound back there. So that's what I'm drinking this morning. This morning I actually had two hard-boiled eggs and sardines. That was my breakfast. It was like literally just pure protein this morning. Green smoothie I had yesterday was spinach, cucumber, my greens powder. Sorry, my nose is itchy this morning. Greens powder, banana, a little bit of almond milk, water, some cherries. It was a little bit of everything. I just experimented with something, and that's kind of what I made. So the key with greens is or smoothies in general, is just to try stuff, experiment with new things, see what you like, see what you don't. Obviously, we've got a ton of amazing recipes on our blog. If you've got my smoothie and juice guide, then you'll have those as well. So yeah, but one of my favorite green smoothies, I think it's a good transitional smoothie, is 1 banana, 1 apple, 1 pear, and then any kind of greens: spinach, kale, Swiss chard, and lemon or lime, and then water. And that's just, it's a great transitional smoothie, and it doesn't, it tastes really good. Hey Layla, what's up? You want to say hi? Come here. Come here. Okay, maybe she doesn't want to come. Okay, so Layla's running away. Hi, do you want to come up and say hi? Come here. Okay, she doesn't want to. No? Come. Come here. Come here, Layla. Come here. Okay. There she is. There's Layla. Can you wave? Hi. There's Layla. This is our little 6-year-old, my little monkey. She's so funny. Okay. There was a question about chronic stress, something about can you feel if you have chronic stress, I believe. I like to drink your green machine smoothie for breakfast with hemp, but what about protein? So hemp is a great source of protein. Hemp seeds, about 3 tablespoons will give you 15 grams of protein, which is great. So, I mean, ultimately you want to know that like in some cases, if you're having a green smoothie, you're not going to be throwing in a lot of the protein powders unless you're using a protein powder that is suitable for a green smoothie, because not all protein powders are. And just say, listen, I'm going to compromise on the protein here and I'll have some more protein later or before. That's usually what I would do. If not, hemp seeds are pretty much in all of my green smoothies because they give me a good source of protein. As I said, 3 tablespoons is 15 grams of protein, which is pretty solid. So yeah. So let me get back to that question about how do you can you feel chronic stress? It's everyone feels a little bit differently, right? Like, so this is the key, is like you want to become more aware. You want to become aware of what your body is experiencing, how you're feeling on a day-to-day basis. Is your mind just like, are you reacting to things? Are you exploding at things? Are you just really tense? Or are you kind of really just zen? And I think you kind of, if you really just think about it and ask yourself, like, do you really feel like your true self? And if you're not, there's basically one reason, okay? So here you have what you want, or here's what you want, and here's where you are. And there's a gap, okay? And when you're focusing on this gap or the lack of what you want, then that creates stress. And that's why the word intention, right, is an intention to go from here to here, right? There's tension. So your intention is to move from here to here. But the thing to remember is you want to really avoid focusing on the gap, because when you focus on the gap always moves with you. So it's like the horizon. It never closes, because you're always striving for more and more and more, and it's never good enough. It's never good enough. So focus on the journey you've had, the success you've had already, and just be grateful for what you have, right? Focus on gratitude. And really, really, I mean, I'm telling you, this is probably one of the biggest lessons that all of us can learn going through life, is really learning how to be present and observing how we respond and behave. Because when somebody gets angry at their kids or angry at anybody else, it has nothing to do with that other person. Nothing. It's because that person did something that violated one of our own rules. And we have these rules set up based on our conditioning, based on our view of the world. And why do we have these rules? Like, why? Like, so when somebody violates one of our own rules, whether it's, nobody should do this, but then somebody does that, then, you get disappointed or you get mad. So it's a very reflective process. And I know this is a very long-winded answer, but the key is awareness. Okay? Awareness and tapping into the power of meditation and nature. So if you're somebody who's a little bit more, stressed out, then spending more time outdoors, chilling out, meditating, those are going to make a big difference. Yeah. Well, guys, thank you so much for the hearts again. Like, just keep it going. Let's see if we can finish the bang here, like one of those fireworks shows with just an explosion of fireworks. Any other questions before we finish off today? I want to thank you first for joining me. This has been an enjoyable session. So we've got a question from Erica Lund. Need help with rotating breakfast ideas? Eat eggs too much? Other suggestions besides smoothies? So you don't have to have typical breakfast for breakfast, right? So sometimes we will do ground up beef, so ground beef with eggs and spinach and some Tabasco hot sauce. We'll just chop it up, throw it into the pan, and it's a really nice high protein type of breakfast with some greens in there, but obviously that has eggs, so that's a different take on eggs. Smoothies, obviously, but you said you're tired of smoothies. You could even do things like salads. Like, you can have a big green salad in the morning, and there's no reason that you can't have that first thing in the morning. You could also just do so it depends on how hungry you are. So maybe sometimes it's just like apple and peanut butter, or apple and almond butter, or it might be leftovers from the night before if that's appropriate. like some days like today, I just had, what times of the day do you eat your meals and snacks? When I'm hungry. That's pretty much the golden answer, right? So it's not about, oh, I have to eat between 11 and 12. It's you eat when you're hungry and you stop when you're full. That is the best advice I can give you, and you really have to honor that. If somebody says you have to have breakfast, what do I think of millet? I think it's pretty good. I don't eat it too often, but it's because it does spike, the blood sugar a little bit more than others. Oatmeal, as long as it's gluten-free oats, totally cool. Try to get steel cut if you can. If someone says you have to have breakfast, then they're not really, they don't live in your body, so they can't give you the best advice. If I know I wake up sometimes, like this morning, I woke up and I wasn't very hungry, so I took the dogs for a 45-minute walk. I had obviously a big glass of water beforehand with apple cider vinegar in it. Came back from the walk. At that point, I was a bit more hungry. It was probably about 8:30 in the morning, and then my kids were getting ready to go to a friend's house, so I just made 2 hard-boiled eggs, and I just felt like some more protein this morning. So I was like 2 hard-boiled eggs and some sardines. That's, again, a really weird random breakfast, but that's what I felt like. And some days I will have pancakes because I feel like pancakes, but they'll be gluten-free, they'll be relatively healthy. Again, I don't recommend having pancakes in the morning, again, because you'll feel it, right? Like you'll feel pretty you'll feel pretty sleepy afterwards. So that's why I recommend having pancakes for dinner, because it actually helps you sleep. Yes, apple cider vinegar is amazing. I'm telling you, like dollar for dollar, it's probably the best if you want to consider it a supplement, something you can get at the health food store. It's the best bang for your buck, because for $20 you can get an entire gallon of apple cider vinegar, and that's going to last you for 2 or 3 months. And there's so many amazing health properties. Maybe we'll do a whole Periscope session just on apple cider vinegar. It's that powerful. Yeah. And just, it's different from apple cider. Okay. So we're not talking about like apple cider, which is just sugar water. We're talking about apple cider vinegar, okay, which is very, very different. What ratio of apple cider to water? Apple cider vinegar? As much as you want to tolerate. So I will make my water brown. That's how much apple cider vinegar I love it. Here's a cool recipe if you want. This is actually, I think I've got it in one of my recipe guides somewhere. So if you like pop sodas, but you want to get away from the sugary stuff, get some Perrier, San Pellegrino, any kind of fizzy water. So fizzy water, apple cider vinegar, lemon. It's amazing. Amazing. I'm telling you, even like you get the biggest Coca-Cola addict and you get them to try that, you'll be surprised. They'll be like, wow, this is very, very good. So that's another way you can use apple cider vinegar in your drinks, other than just water. So yeah, Erica Lund was saying, thank you for doing these Periscope sessions. It's always great to connect. And honestly, as I mentioned before, I think Periscope is awesome. To be very honest with you, I could do Periscope all day long. For me, this is the most natural way of doing what I do. As you know, I love doing podcasts. I love doing videos. That's why I do so many of them. But this is great because it's live interaction. It's brilliant. So that's why I'm going to be doing these every single day. So bring your questions, bring it. If you just want to watch me, that's totally cool as well. And thank you, Val. You're the best as well for joining me and for all the hearts. And I'm happy to share the randomness of my life and what's working and what isn't with you guys as well. Fopus21, how many days a week do you work out? Well, if you receive my email on Saturday, yes, cheese, not too good for you. My email on Saturday, I just kind of came clean and I said, listen, for the first time in my life, like for the past decade or so, I've gone on like a 3-month no workout stretch. So I literally haven't worked out for 3, maybe 4 months in a gym. I've done a couple kettlebell workouts in my backyard. I play tennis regularly. I go to the playground with my kids and do some pull-ups and stuff. I went for a nice run yesterday around some hills. But this summer's been really a bit off because we've moved and the kids were at home all summer. and we're just trying to get settled in and stuff. So it's really been weird. But anyways, normally I would work out 3 times a week, like a solid workout. And then in addition to that, I would do any kind of activity. So if I play tennis 2 hours in the morning, I don't consider that a workout, even though it is. It's just something I love to do. When I'm talking about a workout, I'm talking about go to the gym or not, but to really challenge your muscles, to really strengthen your muscles with heavy weights that is going to force you to get stronger and leaner. So for me, that's 3 times a week. And that's big movements. That's deadlifts, that's squats, bench press, the big movements. None of this like, tricep extension, bodybuilding stuff. I'm not into that. What size kettlebell is best for a beginner? So I've got an 18 kilogram one that I use as my first kettlebell, but I'd say for a beginner, I'd say probably 12 kilograms is probably a good place to start. And that'll allow you to do a good variety of movements without having to have several different kettlebells. So yeah. All right, so what time we got here? It is 11:01. So I've got to run. I have some writing I need to do. Can you come up with those types of workouts, whole body movements using a barbell? Yeah, I'll see what I can do. I have a lot of workouts already. I don't know if you're part of my Fitter You Fitness program, I've developed 24 months worth of follow-along workouts. So if you want to learn more about that, it's fitteryoufitness.com. It's a lot of workouts. Okay, it's barbell, kettlebell, like everything you could possibly ever want, athletic conditioning type stuff. So Fitter You Fitness, so that's Fitter and then the letter U, fitness.com. You can learn more about it there. Yeah, so thank you once again, guys. Let's finish off with a bang. Lots of little hearts. Thank you so much. And I will be back with you tomorrow. I don't know what time, but probably sometime in the morning or the afternoon or whenever I can. And if you have any questions, just jot them down. Ask me on our next Periscope session, and invite your friends. Let them know about this. Obviously, we want to grow our audience and are following on Periscope. I want to help a lot of people with this stuff. I think it's a lot of fun. And thanks for tuning in, guys. Hope you have an amazing day, and I'll speak with you tomorrow.